Hi everyone, Petrik here. So for today's video, this will be about the top 10 most exciting noteworthy release for fantasy and sci-fi books of the month. And today I'll be talking about all the books in the month of April. So for this one, I think if you have been following my SFF Spotlight videos, then you know that I like to talk about new noteworthy release, books that are coming out or has been released in a specific month or weeks in the SFF Spotlight episode. But this time, I think I want to try separating them into one video instead, into a separate video, and that way I can give them more spotlight and, well, I can talk about them a bit more rather than just going through them very briefly in SFF Spotlight videos. So yeah, starting from now, SFF Spotlight will be just about a new book announcement, new cover reveals, and also a new special edition and Kickstarter campaign. But now, let's talk about the 10 books that potentially could become an amazing book for you, amazing fantasy or sci-fi book. And I will go through this chronologically. And for the first one, even though this is not being released in the 1st of April, well, it might have been released on the 1st of April in other country. And I'm talking about Of Vampires and Dust by Ryan Cahill. This is the 4th and the penultimate installment in the Bound and the Broken series. And yeah, so far, many people have said that this is the best book in the series so far, which is quite believable in my opinion because, well, Ryan is the kind of author who keeps on getting better and better with each book, from Of Blood and Fire to Of Darkness and Light, and then to Of War and Ruin. And I'm quite confident that Of Vampires and Dust is indeed his best work. It is definitely his biggest work so far at, I think, 470,000 words long. Now, I know many of you have been messaging me about when I will be getting around to this one, but for the same specific reason on why I still haven't read Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson, I think I need to take a break from reading super massive book at the moment. And Wind and Truth and Of Vampires and Dust are really some of the biggest singular volume epic fantasy book that I have ever seen. And once I've read them, they will be in my top 10 biggest books that I have ever read. And right now, as I'm still recovering, kind of like making sure that this fantasy slump is over, I don't want to dive into them yet. But fingers crossed, I'll be reading Wind and Truth and also Of Vampires and Dust within this year. But the book is out now, the Kindle anyway, because only the ebook is available right now. The physical copy is not out yet. But if you have read Of Vampires and Dust, let me know whether it is indeed your favorite book in the series so far or not. But moving on to the 1st of April, we have 2 books to spotlight. The first one is for Faithbreaker by Hannah Kanner, which is the finale to the, what's the name of the series? It begins with The God Killer. Oh, the name of the series is The Fallen Gods. And yeah, this is the 3rd and the final book in the trilogy. So yeah, this trilogy is completed now. I heard plenty of great things about The God Killer. Somehow I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the 2nd book though, but for the 1st book, I heard plenty of great things about that. And yeah, I haven't read this one yet, but if you have been waiting for this series to be completed, well, the Fallen Gods trilogy is completed now. And yeah, I really like the cover art of the trilogy being illustrated by Tom Roberts. And then moving on to the next book being published on the 1st of April. This is one of my most anticipated books of this year. And even though I own the advanced reading copy for this one for quite a while now, I still haven't read it. And this is A Drop of Corruption. Yeah, this is the sequel to The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, the 2nd book in the shadow of the Leviathan series, or the Anna and Din story. Because this is the 2nd book, I cannot talk too much about the plot or the blurb on details of this one, but of course I haven't read it as well. And for the first one though, The Tainted Cup, I called it a Sherlock Holmes or maybe Knives Out in an Attack on Titan inspired setting. It is really good. It is basically murder mystery, a typical murder mystery novel done really well in a fantasy setting. Instead of a fantasy book utilizing murder mystery, it is the other way around. It is a murder mystery in a fantasy setting. It is incredible. If you love Knives Out, I think you will really enjoy this one. And I've been looking forward to reading A Drop of Corruption for quite a while now. I think fantasy and murder mystery, they blend really well. And this book, I think the reception right now is super positive. People keep saying that it's even better than The Tainted Cup, and the average rating, I believe, is more than 4.5 already on Goodreads. And yeah, that's amazing. Looking forward to reading this one, especially because I've been a fan of Robert Jackson Bennett for years now, since the Divine Series trilogy, the Founders trilogy, and of course The Shadow of the Leviathan. And moving on to the next date, which is the 2nd of April, so these books are all out now. This is, for the first one, this will be for Blood of the Kami by Baptiste Pinson. This is an anime or a Japanese-inspired fantasy novel, and yeah, this is a self-published fantasy series, and when I posted the cover reveal of this one being done by Christian Benavides, it definitely went a bit viral on Blue Sky and also on Twitter, on both accounts. I think it's really well received and I'm so looking forward to reading this one. I'm a big fan of anime and manga and also Japanese inspired story. So I will be reading Blood of the Kami as soon as I can. But the book is out now and this is the premise. For centuries, the Yaseki have fought the corrupted souls who seek to plunge Japan into darkness. But the fragile balance is now shifting toward the forces of evil. Ren Fudo, a young soul hunter blessed with the blood of the Kami, receives a mission from Amaterasu Omi Kami. The simple errand is a spirit-given chance to pay off his debt to the Yaseki. But as he and his new companion, a shrine maiden possessed by a violent land Kami, take to the road, Ren remembers that spirits never give for nothing. The mission turns more dangerous and crucial with every step. The future of Japan now rests on their shoulders, and an army of yokai stands on their path. Kami basically means God in Japanese, and yokai means demon. And yeah, looking forward to reading this one. I think the author has actually mentioned that this is for those of us who love a Demon Slayer, the anime or the manga. So yeah, and after that, still on the 2nd of April, we have A Brief History of Chronomancy by Rowe. This is the 6th novel in the Arcane Ascension series, and I think this is actually the penultimate installment. I know that the original plan was for the Arcane Ascension to be 7 books long. Now, I'm not sure whether that plan still holds up or not. Maybe Rowe has decided to extend the number of books in the series. But if you know about that, do let me know. But yeah, I have read only 2 books in the Arcane Ascension series. I'm still not sure when I'll be reading this series again, but I enjoyed the first 2 books greatly. The first 2 books in the Arcane Ascension. Sufficiently Advanced Magic in particular was the first book that made me realize the potential that self-published fantasy book holds. And well, as you can probably tell, I've read a lot of self-published and indie fantasy books since then. So yeah, this is the 6th novel in the Arcane Ascension. It is out now. And speaking of exciting self-published fantasy book, on the 7th of April, this book, of course, is again published already. This is for the Sanguine Sands by Alec Hutson, which is the 2nd book in the Sharded View series, and also the continuation to the Umbral Storm. Now, I haven't read this one. I have read the first trilogy. I believe it is the first trilogy by Alec Hutson, The Raveling, and I love that trilogy very much. I think it is criminally underrated, and The Crimson Queen, the first book in the trilogy, is honestly one of the best start to a self-published fantasy series that I have ever read. The writing is just absolutely beautiful, and I think if you love classic fantasy and being written in a more modern style, you will really like reading the Raveling series. But I heard the Umbral Storm is even better. It is a progression epic fantasy series, and after I think 3 years since the Umbral Storm is out, the 2nd book, The Sanguine Sands, is finally available now. And yeah, I still need to get around to reading this one, but based on how much I enjoyed the Raveling series, I think it is quite proven that I will be enjoying this series as well. And on the 8th of April, this is for a book that I have actually read, and that this book is available now in the UK. This is A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Ayinde. And yeah, this is the first book in the Invoker trilogy, a Final Fantasy inspired trilogy. And yeah, I have got the chance to read this one early, and I think it feels really refreshing to find, especially these days, to find an epic fantasy debut being published in the traditional publication market. It's rare now to find an epic fantasy debut of this scope, and the scope is quite vast. It features a lot of characters, 5 main POV characters, and also there are a lot of things that I really like about A Song of Legends Lost. I think overall I will be giving this one an 8 out of 10 stars rating or a 4 out of 5 stars rating, but I'll be talking about this more in depth in my March wrap up video. But that this book is available now. But if you want to know the premise, here it is. A song of rebellion, a song of war, a song of legends lost. In the kingdom of 9 lands, only warriors of noble blood can summon their ancestors to fight with them in battle. But when Temi, a commoner from the slums, accidentally invokes a powerful spirit, she finds it could hold the key to ending a centuries-long war. But as secrets long buried come to light, Temi will learn that not everything that can be invoked is an ancestor, and that some of the spirits that can be drawn from the ancestral realm are more dangerous than anyone can imagine. So that's essentially the premise of Song of Legends Lost, but the book is so much more than that. Because, as I said, this features 5 POV characters. This burp tells only one. And yeah, this book is not available yet in the US though. This will be published in the US by Saga Press in June 2025, so about 2 months from now. But if you're in the UK, you can read this one now. It is published already, and congratulations to MH Ayinde for this epic fantasy debut novel. And being released on the same date, on the 8th of April, next we have the final book in the Library Trilogy by Mark Lawrence. This is for the book that held her heart. Yeah, I haven't read this trilogy yet, so unfortunately I cannot talk too much about this one, but I have read a lot of Mark Lawrence books, and although some did not click with me, I did find some of my favorite books in Mark Lawrence writing, especially in the book of the Ancestor trilogy, and I hope the Library Trilogy can give me that satisfaction as well. But if you have read the Library Trilogy, do let me know what you think and which one is your favorite Mark Lawrence books, especially if you have read the book that held her heart as well. And moving on to the final date in today's video, this is being published on the 15th of April. So yeah, not out yet, but soon to be out. This is for A Palace Near the Wind by Jiang. This is the first book in the Natural Engine series. Jiang is most well known for her work on Ling Hun and also her other novellas and also short stories, basically shorter form titles. And this one is her newest one, A Palace Near the Wind. I haven't read anything from Jiang yet, so I'm still not sure whether I'll be tackling A Palace Near the Wind or Ling Hun first. I guess we'll see what my reading mood decides eventually. But if you want to know more about this book, this is the blurb as well. This is the first book in the series. Liu Lufeng is the eldest princess of the Feng royalty and bound by duty and tradition, the next bride to the human king. With their bark faces, arms of braided branches, and hair of needle threads, the Feng people live within nature, nurtured by the land. But they exist under the constant threat of human expansion, and the negotiation of bright wealth is the only way to stop or at least delay the destruction of their home. Come her wedding day, Lu Feng plans to kill the king and finally put an end to their marriage. Trapped in the great human palace in the run-up to the union, Lu Feng begins to uncover the truth about her people's origins and realize they will never be safe from the humans. So she must learn to let go of duty and tradition, choose her allies carefully, and risk the unknown in order to free her family and shape her own fate. Feng is actually the Chinese word for wind, so I think that's where the name of the main character, Lu Feng, came from. So yeah, I look forward to reading this one, well, as soon as possible. And finally, the last book in today's video, and also the last noteworthy release I want to spotlight. This is probably, I just found out about this book quite recently, but it seems like many have suddenly read this one. This is for The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hutson. So for this one, I actually found out about this book because of Charis Look. Charis is the illustrator behind the edges for the Greenbone Saga and also the end paper for the Greenbone Saga, the Broken Binding edition. I worked with her on that edition. So as she told me about this book, The Raven Scholar, and she said that it's one of her most anticipated book. I think I heard about this one last month. So I end up checking it out. I checked out the premise, and as it turns out, this is another epic fantasy blend with murder mystery, and it instantly went to my TBR pile. I instantly request for an advanced reading copy of this one from Orbit Books. This is being published in the US by Orbit, and it is being published in the UK by Hodder. And yeah, this book is being published on the 15th of April, and this is the premise of the novel. Let us fly now to the Empire of Orun, where after 24 years of peace, the reign of Bersun the Brusque has come to an end. In the dizzying heat of midsummer, 7 exceptional warriors, thinkers, and strategists compete to replace him. When one of them is murdered, it falls to Nima Kra, the Emperor's brilliant, idiosyncratic high scholar, to find the killer and fight for the throne. Nima believes she is alone, but we are here to help. All she has to do is let us in. If she succeeds, we will win an empire. If she fails, that awaits her. But we won't let that happen. We are the Raven, and we are magnificent. So that's the premise of The Raven Scholar. Honestly, it sounds incredible, and I will do I will do my best to get to this one within this year, despite how busy I am. As I mentioned earlier when I talk about the Drop of Corruption, I love blend of murder mystery in the fantasy genre. I think they make a great combination. But if you have read this one, do let me know what you think about it. And of course, that's all. That's all the books that I want to talk about today. That's 10 fantasy or sci-fi books that I think can be an amazing book for you as well. Or, well, for me, because I want to get around to reading them all. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Do let me know though whether you prefer me to make this kind of video in this one video or not, or maybe just to talk about this noteworthy release in SFF Spotlight like usual, because, well, I want to know. But personally speaking, I think it's better like this because I can give more spotlight, more time for spotlight, and also to talk about them more rather than featuring them briefly in SFF Spotlight videos. But yeah, that's it for me today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.